Something that was absolutely a turning point in human history.
One giant leap for mankind.
Apollo 13, the third planned moon landing. Commander Jim Lovell's second trip to the moon. This time, he'll not only orbit the lunar surface, but also leave his footprints in its powdery dust.
Houston, we've had a problem.
But instead of describing a lunar landscape, Lovell finds himself halfway to the moon, talking with Mission Control about his dying command module.
Main B bus undervolt. Roger, main B undervolt. Stand by 13, we're looking at it.
Electrical power is disrupted, and readings in the capsule and at Mission Control don't jibe. Then Lovell sees something out his window.
It looks to me, looking out the hatch, that we are venting something. We are venting something out into space.
The explosion of an oxygen tank in the service module has damaged several key systems. The astronauts must scour 24 instruments, 40 alarm indicators, 71 lights, and 566 switches to regain control of their spacecraft.
With the loss of oxygen, because we used oxygen to produce electricity, all of our electrical power would quit. And when that happened, because we controlled our engine by means of electrical power, we'd lose the entire propulsion system. And so, you know, essentially it took a while for all that to sink in, that it dawned on me that we were in very serious trouble.
The crew of Apollo 13 never gets the chance to land on the moon. They can only slingshot around it and, with their lunar module Aquarius as their lifeboat, hope to make their way safely back to Earth.
We had to invent ways to navigate. We had to find ways to stretch the electrical power. Our crew was suffocating. We had to find ways to remove the carbon dioxide so the crew wouldn't suffer from CO2 poisoning.
We never had discussed the possibility of not surviving or getting back to the Earth. It was probably in all of our minds, but we were working hard to figure out what we had to work with and what we had to do to get back.
The command module, shut down and unheated for 3 days, would now have to be restarted. Condensation is everywhere.
The whole instrument panel was covered with water, and of course I knew that there was water probably behind the panel on all the wiring harnesses, and so we worried about electric shorts. We were virtually going down rows and pushing in circuit breakers. We figured the best we could do is we started down the row and started smelling. You can smell an electric short. We'd back up and pull some out and hope we could quickly isolate which was the culprit.
But there are no shorts, due perhaps to the capsule redesign after the Apollo 1 fire. Sealing the electrical connections also means they're now waterproof for landing.
Let's get it. Farewell, Aquarius. We thank you.
After its harrowing 6-day ordeal, Apollo 13 safely splashes down in the Pacific. The moon landing mission may have failed, but Flight Director Gene Kranz remembers it as the space team's finest hour.
NASA contractor, people out in subcontractors, in the test facilities and individual. It was really amazing to be at the point of the spear and watch this team perform basically against all odds and to come up with solutions that we had never trained or thought about before.
While just getting to the moon can prove difficult, landing on its dusty, boulder-strewn, cratered surface is even more problematic. A lunar lander must maneuver like a helicopter, with its rotors replaced by rocket engines. Training with the LEM in Earth's atmosphere is impossible, so the Lunar Lander Research Vehicle is used. The Apollo astronauts call it the Flying Bedstead. To simulate the 1/6 gravity of the moon, the LLRV's central jet engine supports most of the vehicle's weight. But flying the LLRV is dangerous. On the afternoon of May 6, 1968, the craft nearly kills Neil Armstrong. Astronaut Bill Anders had flown the same vehicle just hours earlier.
The thing flamed out. The attitude control system ran out of fuel, and so Neil was flopping around there and just managed to get out of it. Well, he was very lucky because this thing was just on its main engine with no attitude control, and it was getting close to the ground, and it just kind of rolled out, and Neil looked like he came out of the fireball. And it did look like he went back into the fireball when with his parachute, but he landed just beyond it.
4 of these Earthbound trainers are used. 3 will crash, but the actual lunar modules land safely every time.
There's good stuff. Okay, down, looking great. 60 seconds. 40 feet. 3 feet per second.
America's first astronaut, Alan Shepard, returns to spaceflight 10 years later to command Apollo 14's LEM Antares to a skillful set-down.
We're on the surface. Okay, we made a good landing.
Apollo 14 is on the moon almost 34 hours. About a third of that time is spent moonwalking in the lunar highlands.
Certainly the Fra Mauro area where we landed was an interesting place, and with far more relief up and down of the terrain than the earlier flights, which also made the navigation a little more difficult. Particularly, it was kind of like wandering around in the sand dunes, and one sand dune looks about like the other. So finding our landmarks that the geologists wanted us to find as we did our traverse on foot to Cone Crater was difficult.
I'm going to try a little sand trap shot here.
But Shepard manages a few seconds to become not only America's first man in space, but also its first golfer.
Miles and miles and miles.
2 miles is all the Apollo 14 astronauts are able to walk during their 2 EVAs. But the next mission will have wheels.
This is really a rock and roll ride, isn't it? That's one small step for man. Beautiful, beautiful. Isn't that something?
I was in Orlando in my parents' house, and as the first pictures came through, we were, of course, all just very enthusiastic and enthralled with what was happening.
One giant leap for mankind. Okay, Houston, as I stand out here in the wonders of the unknown in Hadley, I try to realize there's a fundamental truth to our nature. Man must explore.
When Apollo 15 Commander Dave Scott descends the LEM's ladder 2 years after Neil Armstrong, he achieves his own first. Scott climbs aboard the first lunar rover with crewmate Jim Irwin, and, as space's first motorist, proceeds to peel out.
This is really a rock and roll ride, isn't it? Never been on a ride like this before. Oh boy. I'm glad they got this great suspension system on this thing.
More than just a toy, the moon buggy is a science platform, allowing astronauts to venture farther from the LEM than the previous 3 Apollo missions. During 10.5 hours, Scott and Irwin cover 17 miles and examine many interesting sights.
A boulder exposed to the surface here, which has got layering within it. It's been weathered away apparently, and just the surface top is exposed, but the boulder must be about a meter long with 2 to 3 inch layers in it.
Working in a suit is very fatiguing. You don't get the food, the water, the rest. So actually we were not only probing the boundaries of geology and exploration, we were also probing the boundaries of human performance. The Apollo 15 mission really took us back to the drawing board in several areas to look at how we train crews and how we provide them adequate nutrition and hydration and all of these things.
Hey John, this is perfect with the LEM and the rover and you and Stone Mountain and the old flag. Come on out here and give me a salute. Big Navy salute.
In the summer of 1972, Apollo 16 astronauts John Young and Charlie Duke spend 20 hours searching for volcanic rock in the Descartes Highlands.
Charlie, such form. Oh, Stephen. How about that? I'm going out for the ballet when I get back. You learn another line of work up here.
Because of the geological diversity of the moon, they wanted to get some samples from the mountains of the moon, if you will, or the highlands, which was a considerable elevation above the Luna Mare.
That is the most beautiful sight. What's that? You're standing there on the rim of that crater.
Well, it's great to have a lunar rover. When you turn wheels, the front wheels would go this way and the rear wheels would go that way. So you could turn in your own diameter. And because of all the holes on the moon, you need to be able to do that.
Ah, here he comes, folks. He's got the hammer out. I knew he couldn't resist. I don't know if this will work or not, Shirley, but it couldn't pick a better spot. Here we go. Hot dog. He did it. It's a very friable rock, apparently, Houston. Okay, outstanding.
Science was certainly in the front seat. Of the 6 landings on the moon, the last 3, I think, were devoted completely to the science of it.
We'll sample right there and get you a scoopful of this underlying regolith.
There'll be just one more flight to the moon. Apollo 17 lifts off in the midnight hour of December 7th, 1972.
My God, it was like the sun coming up in the middle of the night. I mean, all of a sudden, this golden light, this flame that was the color of a sunrise, just exploding and filling the sky and filling my field of view, and in silence seeing this rocket ascend, and then without anticipating it, this roar of sound that just swept over us. It was absolutely spectacular. I mean, I've seen launches since then, but I don't think anything can compare with knowing that you're seeing 3 people who are on their way to the moon.
Okay, stand by for pitch over. Oh, are we coming in? Oh, baby. And there it is, Houston. There's Camelot. Wow, target. I see it.
Being the last mission, we built on all the other missions before us. And so our landing site was in the northeastern edge of the moon, which was off-center. We landed in a valley, the Valley of Torres Litro, that was surrounded by mountains on 3 sides, higher than a Grand Canyon is deep. About, I don't know, give or take 20 miles long and maybe 5 miles across.
Okay, Houston, the Challenger has landed. Roger, Challenger, that's super. Houston, you can tell America that Challenger is at Torres Litro.
We landed within a couple hundred feet of our landing site. Pretty exciting.
Hippity hopping over hill and dale. Da 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 da. Hippity hopping along.
If America's moon missions must end with Apollo 17, Commander Gene Cernan makes it memorable.
Can you use the other end against the right side of the rock?
His partner, Jack Schmitt, is the only trained geologist to fly to the moon. At times, his mission zeal overtakes his ability to traverse the terrain.
No, dadgummit. Well, hey, Gene, would you go over and help twinkle toes, please, Gene? Really?
Well, working on the moon is a lot of fun. I mean, it's like walking around on a giant trampoline all the time, and you're just as strong as you were here on Earth, but you don't weigh as much. You only weigh 1/6 of what you weigh on the moon, even with a suit. In the backpack, my total weight was only 61 pounds.
Cernan has been to space twice before, including on Apollo 10's lunar orbit checkout of the LEM. Yet Cernan is awestruck by this valley. and what hangs in the pitch-black sky overhead.
You have to pinch yourself when you're on the moon. Am I really here at this point in time, in space? And the answer is yes, but it's almost like you're in the middle of some science fiction plot, because back there is the Earth, the multicolored blues of the oceans and the whites of the snow and the cloud you see from pole to pole, across oceans. Every 12 hours you look at the other side of the world. It truly is an ongoing, overpowering experience.
Meanwhile, Schmidt finds unexpected color in the gray moonscape.
There is orange soil. Well, don't move it till I see it. It's all over. Orange. Don't move it till I see it. I've stirred it up with my feet. Hey, it is. I can see it from here. It's orange.
Once it was back in the laboratory, everyone realized it was volcanic material that had been erupted in the valley and somehow protected for 3.5 billion years without getting mixed up with everything else. And it has become a very, very important sample, an increasingly important sample in trying to decipher what the actual origin of the moon might be.
The next day, Cernan ends Apollo 17's 75-hour sortie as the last man on the moon.
This valley of history has seen mankind complete its first evolutionary steps into the universe, leaving the planet Earth and going forward into the universe. I think no more significant contribution has Apollo made to history. It's not often that you can foretell history, but I think we can in this case.
When I left the moon and made those final steps, look back down, and at my last footstep on the moon, I'm not coming this way again. I wanted to stop the clock. I wanted to push the freeze button. I needed time to try and understand where I've been and what I've done, what the last 75 hours have meant to me, have meant to you. Was the risk worth what I have just, whatever it was I've just done and wherever I've been? I couldn't stop the clock and look back at the Earth and came to the conclusion, you know, I don't know what it all means yet, but I've been lucky.
On December 14th, 1972, human exploration of the moon is ceased.
2, 1, ignition. Right away, Houston.
What I felt was a sense of disappointment at a great adventure that was ending before its time. And also the sense of a grand human adventure that had ended too soon. We had just begun to scratch the surface of what the moon could tell us. And we go there and we can actually turn the pages in the earliest history of the solar system, which is recorded on the moon like no other place in the solar system.
Apollo really was a blip in human history in a number of ways, but it was an anomaly that I think the country will never forget, the world will never forget. I think it was worth it, not only for in the geopolitical context, which is what drove the whole thing, but also from the exploration context.
I am not the last man to have walked on the moon. Maybe the last man of Apollo, maybe the last man of the 20th century, but not the last person, not the last man or possibly the last woman to have walked on the moon.
Today, the moon is again coming within our grasp. And again, 40 years later, Apollo will help us reach it. A new generation of moon machines is being built and tested. Many of the new designs are directly descended from Apollo hardware, including the lunar lander. Engineers are eager to hear from the man who flew the first one to land.
And I don't know exactly where this CG is and so on, but sometimes the amount of motion that you get at the cockpit is different than the amount that the footpads are seeing by a substantial margin. And you have to get a sense of that to know how careful you have to be up on top to make sure the bottom is doing the right thing.
The next generation lunar rover will bear little resemblance to the Apollo buggy. Its explorers will drive the moonscape in shirt sleeves.
The key thing about this vehicle is it's a small pressurized rover, so we actually live in the vehicle under pressure. The suits are hanging off the back on devices called suit ports. What we do is we literally open a hatch inside the vehicle, open the back hatch of the suit, step into the suit, and 10 minutes later we're boots on the surface sampling rocks. In an Apollo-style unpressurized rover, you've got 8 hours of consumables in your suit, so you have to go out and turn around and come back at the end of each day, whereas here we're going to live in it.
The next astronauts to make footprints in the lunar dust will stay longer, explore farther, and learn more than ever hoped for on July 20th, 1969, when Apollo 11 changed the world forever.
It's something that I always hoped would happen in my lifetime, and to see it happening now, to potentially be a part of it, and whether it's my foot on the moon or one of my classmates or somebody from my generation is going to do it, and I think it's great.
We did a lot of great work in the 1960s and 70s when we went to the moon, but unfortunately we didn't stay there very long. Now, with our experience, especially under the belt of what we got from the International Space Station and the capability that the Crew Exploration Vehicle gives us, we can actually really explore the moon. It's a whole new planet, a whole new world to go explore. And we've only been to 6 little small spots on it. Now we can go more places. We have a chance to stay there longer.
The human endeavor which people put forth to get us to the moon is the human endeavor we once again need. The spirit of Apollo, the legacy of Apollo, is that human endeavor to do what has never been done before, to reach further than we've ever reached before. To be willing to try, to not be deterred by failure. That's what Apollo was all about.
And as the centuries unfold, we'll go many, many places, but this is the first, and this needs to be remembered as one of the wonderful things of the 20th century. It is a great adventure.